Good morning. Welcome to First Parish in Needham Unitarian Universalist in the new Zoom format. While I myself am pre-recorded from home, most of this morning's service, on this, the first full day of spring, will be live from our beloved sanctuary. We are so happy that you are joining us today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whether you are brand new today or a longtime member, you are welcome here. First Parish was founded along with the town of Needham in 1711. We are a welcoming congregation, a green sanctuary, and a level 2 sanctuary supporting congregation. We are committed to racial, economic, and environmental justice and equity. And throughout this very difficult past year, we have all been here for each other. My name is Eric Bailey, and my family has been a part of this church for over 17 years. Liz and I feel so at home here. Our daughters Cassie and Zoe grew up in this church, from dedication on our chancel to RE to youth group, and they are still active participants and members. As you have no doubt guessed, I am here this morning on behalf of the Pledge Drive team, and I have joyous news to report. Despite everything that we have collectively endured over the past year, our Pledge Drive has been an incredible success. Last year, we received $349,000 in pledges. This year, as of now, we have received $342,000, and there are still a dozen families we haven't heard from yet. If you're one of those, please get in touch with us as soon as possible. Through all we've been through, isolation, tragic loss of dear family and friends, our lives on hold, we have still raised 98% of what was pledged last year. I honestly thought we'd be lucky to get to 95% or even 90%, and thanks to all of you, we're at 98%. Our congregation is so special, so important, and so generous. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. After today's service, please be sure to be as part of our special congregational meeting on Zoom starting at 12 o'clock. We're kicking off our capital campaign for the much-needed improvements to our bell tower and roof, so we can take our Pledge Drive theme, Under One Roof, to the next level. I hope to see you all there. Thank you, and again, welcome.
As we light our chalice, symbol of our faith, we read words from local Euro-American UU young adult, Kate McPhee. Around us, light is returning. It rekindles the spirit of life in the skeletons of trees. It brings forth new shoots from the soil. It wakes us from our winter slumber and invites us to see what lies beyond. We light this chalice in the spirit of our Earth's awakening and to reaffirm our commitment to the value of our home.
Good morning. Our opening hymn, Morning Has Broken, was written by 20th century British children's writer Eleanor Farjeon to fit a traditional Gaelic hymn melody. It was popularized in secular music by modern Muslim British singer-songwriter Yusuf Islam, formerly known as Cat Stevens. Please rise in body and/or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 38 in your great hymnals, Morning Has Broken.
Morning has broken like the first morn.
Please join me, from wherever you are, in saying the words of our parish covenant, our bond with one another, even when we cannot be together in person. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
For our time for all ages on the spring equinox, Reverend Katie and I share with you our adaptation of eco-artist Shim Schimmel's The Family of Earth.
The world looks different to each of us.
The lion's world is a grassy plain. Sometimes it is hot and dry. Sometimes it is green and wet.
The polar bear's world is full of ice and snow. They and other tundra animals and plants are adapted to the frigid cold.
Fish live in a world of salt water. Their world is always changing, from light to dark, from warm to cold, and from shallow to deep.
To the desert cottontail, the world is full of sand and rocks, and there's little water to be found. It's hot in the day and cold at night.
To the orangutans and chimpanzees, the world is a dark forest. And to the owls, the world is a dark, quiet place filled with sparkling stars.
Ducks live in freshwater rivers and lakes and see more of the world as they fly through the air.
We all live in our own worlds, and yet all of these different worlds are the same world. We share only one earth.
We share the canyons and the oceans. We share the same sky. We share all the trees.
The world may look different to each of us, but we all share the same earth.
We are the family of Earth.
Thoughtful Turtle wonders which part or parts of our Mother Earth is most beloved to you. Loving Lion wonders which environmental hero or shiro most inspires you to take good care of our beloved Mother Earth. And Caring Chipmunk wonders if today's message will inspire you to take one action in the coming week to intentionally take care of our Mother Earth. We all hope you will.
Thank you so much, Roberta, for sharing this story with us. And I hope you have a wonderful time today with the Junior Youth Group.
Thank you, Reverend Katie. It was great to see everyone.
It is now time to share with one another our joys and concerns from the past week. These joys and concerns were submitted to our ministerial intern, Jenna Crawford, at internminister@uuneedham.org by the Thursday before this service. If you did not submit a candle, but would like to share with the community this morning, you are invited to enter your message into the chat box. As our services stream live to YouTube, we cannot guarantee that your joys, concerns, sorrows, and milestones will stay within the First Parish community. But you are welcome to reach out to me, to Jenna, to our Pastoral Care Associate of the Week, Buffy Dewig, for pastoral care, or to share more privately. If you're missing hearing each other's voices during this beloved ritual, may this also serve as a reminder to reach out to one another. May this beloved community be sustained by your creativity and care for each other during this time. We have just one candle of sorrow today from the whole First Parish community at the horrific shootings in Metro Atlanta that targeted Asian masseuses and resulted in 8 deaths. With this candle, we hold in our hearts those who were injured in this mass shooting, those family members, friends, and larger communities who are in mourning, other masseuses, patrons, and first responders who witnessed this traumatizing violence, Asian American, Pacific Islanders, and especially AAPI women who are once again made afraid because of this violence. And we hold in our memory the 8 people who were murdered by one individual influenced by societal racism, misogyny, and toxic masculinity, and enabled by our country's permissive gun laws. We take a moment of quiet before we light our candle to read the names of those killed. Dao Yo Feng, 44. Hyun Chung Grant, 51. Soon Ta Kim, 69. Paul Andre Michaels, 54. Soon Chung Park, 74. Xiao Jie Tan, 49. Delana Ashley Yan Gonzalez, 33. Young A. Yu, 63. We light this candle of sorrow for all these people, and to light in us the fire of compassion and advocacy that may prevent the next tragedy. And we light a final silent candle to represent the joys not yet ripe for sharing and the concerns and sorrows we may still carry in our hearts. May the peace of this sanctuary be felt in each of your homes. I now invite our member, Lynn Jakowski, to lead us from home in an adapted sun salutation as our embodied meditation on this vernal equinox morning.
Hi everyone, I'm Lynn Jakowski. In celebration of the vernal equinox, we're going to do a sun salutation in respect for the sun and acknowledgement of the sun. A sun salutation is a series of postures, or asanas as we say in yoga, and breath work interwoven. So just follow me, I'll show you how it's going to go. This is a modified sun salutation that I put together. So we're going to start with saluting the sun. So we're going to breathe in, arms up, back, bend your back a little bit and salute the sun. Breathe out, bend down and touch the earth. Breathe out, reach forward, out from your shoulders, and connect. Now we're going to bring one arm in at a time. Cross your arms, hands on your shoulders, and this is for self-care. Uncross your arms, hands by your shoulders facing out. This is in acknowledgement and respect for all living creatures. Now arms up, palms facing in, one at a time. Close your palms. Put them together at your third eye, which is between your eyebrows. Peace. And then at your heart. Peace. Now just let your mind and the movements flow with your breath. And you can follow me, and then when you're comfortable, close your eyes and just let your mind go. Okay, salute the sun. Touch the earth. Reach out and connect. Self-care. Hands together at your heart. Now let's wish each other namaste. Namaste. Hi everyone, I'm Lynn Jakowski.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for this meditation and for the silk altar flower arrangements you've made for these hybrid services. As we continue to feel in our bodies the expansion of our limbs, our lungs, our hearts, let us sing together our meditative response for the earth forever turning. This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of the church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. For the month of March, we are sharing our collection 50/50 with the Grow Clinic at Boston Medical Center, a program that serves local children diagnosed with failure to thrive. First Parish is in our second decade of partnership with the Grow Clinic, raising funds and often organizing the young people among us to assist with direct donations of non-perishable goods for their food pantry. The clinic relies on financial donations for its outreach and educational services that are not reimbursable by insurance companies or government programs. To donate to today's offering, you can use one of three methods. You can use our Text to Give program through the number 73256 with the exact wording of "You Need 'em" space plate or Pledge 21 space $, and the amount you want to give. You can mail a check to First Parish at 23 Dedham Avenue, or you can make a donation through our website, youneedem.org, and select Donate Now under the Giving box. Whichever way, remember to specify whether your donation is meant for the plate collection or for your annual pledge. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. Please take these next few moments to give what you can and know that it will be gratefully received. Our reading this morning is adapted from modern Muskogee author and musician Joy Harjo, who is the current Poet Laureate of the United States. This is her poem, Remember. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon, know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn, that is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your ancestors. They are your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember you are all people, and all people are you. Remember you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember all is in motion, is growing in you. Remember language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember. Here ends our reading. The vernal equinox may have only officially happened to bring spring to the northern hemisphere yesterday, when sunlight and moonlight, oak king and holly king were just for a day in balance. But for me, spring began earlier in the week when, on one of our afternoon family walks around the neighborhood, we went past a lawn full of little purple crocuses. We're spotting rabbits again in our backyard, and our resident blue jays and chickadees are noisy again at daybreak. The earth is turning, whirling in its orbit around the sun, tilted just a bit on its axis, giving us farther from the equator our seasons. Flora and fauna alike have evolved for particular ecosystems and seasonal changes that have remained reasonably predictable, barring ice ages and major asteroid impacts for eons. As we heard in our Time for All Ages, the polar bear is adapted to frigid colds, the chimpanzee to the deep forest, the desert cottontail to the desert. We share the same world, one Earth, but few species can survive anywhere. As we all know, as Unitarian Universalists, part of a green sanctuary congregation, human pollution and destruction are changing these predictable seasons and these fairly stable ecosystems. This, of course, includes our own local environment here in eastern Massachusetts. In 2017, Boston Globe journalist and documentary filmmaker David Abel reviewed a report from Mass Audubon about the state of birds in our Commonwealth. Abel wrote, "Not even the state bird appears to be safe from climate change. The black-capped chickadee, which inhabits nearly every corner of Massachusetts, is among scores of birds that are likely to disappear from parts or from all of the state by 2050 as temperatures continue to warm. Climate change is expected to alter food sources for many fish-eating birds and will probably affect when trees produce leaves, flowers bloom, and insects emerge, potentially killing flocks of migratory birds that arrive at their breeding grounds in time for the peak supply of their food. Rising seas and the more powerful storms expected from climate change are likely to reduce nesting areas for birds that live along the coast or in salt marshes. Ocean acidification, which occurs when the ocean absorbs carbon dioxide, is likely to reduce stocks of shellfish, which many birds rely on. Loss of agricultural lands to development, the use of toxic chemicals such as pesticides, and feral cats and predators." In that article, Local Euro-American field ornithologist Christopher Leahy is quoted saying that birds, like canaries in coal mines, have long served as warnings to environmental threats. Losses for birds due to climate change presage losses in the quality of human life. When Tweety starts wobbling on his perch, it's time to take corrective action in the name of survival. On our state bird, the black-capped chickadee, the Mass Audubon report predicted that the likelihood a bird watcher in 2050 would encounter the species in Massachusetts would decline by more than 30%. In some parts, such as Cape Cod, from Cape Cod to Newburyport, the birds are likely to all but disappear. ProPublica recently made a similar assessment of how climate change would impact the human species across the continental North America. It's not just the black-capped chickadee that might disappear from Cape Cod in the next 25 to 50 years, but also human communities due to rising sea levels. ProPublica predicts mass displacement from Bar Harbor down to Miami, all the way around the Gulf Coast. The West Coast doesn't fare any better, and worse, heat in the southern half of the United States and wildfires west of the Rockies will only compound the climate disaster. Euro-American professor and journalist Elizabeth Kolbert won a 2015 Pulitzer Prize for her book, The Sixth Extinction, An Unnatural History. The first half of The Sixth Extinction chronicles mass extinction events of the distant past, none of which were caused by a single species. And then the second half of Kolbert's book argues that humanity is in a centuries-long process of causing the sixth mass extinction event in Earth's history through an interconnected set of damaging consequences for our reliance on fossil fuels and disregard for our non-human neighbors. Increasing the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, acidifying the ocean, deforesting, polluting fresh water, fragmenting natural habitats, and globalizing invasive species. Our individual behaviors and choices, of course, impact the climate crisis, but transformation is necessary at a societal level to make the impact needed to keep our Earth habitable and avoid mass extinction. So how do we transform our behavior individually and collectively? In Heroism Month, the first heroes I think of are Captain Planet and the Planeteers. That might date me. But when I was a kid, that superhero cartoon show about environmental justice was perhaps my primary introduction to eco-justice. Maybe some of you are familiar. Gaia, the spirit of the earth, voiced by none other than Black actress Whoopi Goldberg, calls together 5 young champions of the earth, the Planeteers, to offer them the powers of the elements to defend the planet from environmental disasters and eco-villains, and to educate humankind as a preventative measure. There's Kwame from Ghana, Wheeler from the United States, Linka from the USSR, Guy from Korea, and Mati from Brazil. All had already demonstrated a commitment to the environment before receiving their powers. Their powers of earth, fire, wind, water, and heart are effective when wielded separately, but mightier when combined to bring to life Captain Planet. Which is essentially how we commit to transformation. We create clarity in our minds and our hearts about why we need to work for change, and we have community around us to support us and keep our eyes on the prize when we meet resistance and stumbling blocks. Clarity comes from mindfulness and humility, paying attention to new information about the climate crisis and remedies for it, the humility that our understanding and practices we may need to, that we use now may need to be improved or left behind as we learn more. And yes, there are tremendous individuals who inspire us. There are environmentalists of blessed memory like Kenyan activist Wangari Maathai and Scottish-American naturalist John Muir. There are powerful youth voices from autistic Swedish activist Greta Thunberg and queer Jewish Colombian-American organizer Jamie Margolin. There are our fellow Unitarian Universalists like local Euro-American legend Henry David Thoreau, like Black youth activist Levi Graham, like the members of our own congregation and UUs across the nation who joined in pipeline protests and demonstrations against DAPL and the West Roxbury Lateral Pipeline. But effective leaders have partners, have followers, have mentors of their own, and have communities that amplify their messages. Greta Thunberg and Jamie Margolin sparked and organized global movements. Thoreau would have gone unpublished and perhaps unnoticed if it weren't for his Unitarian Transcendentalist friends, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Elizabeth Peabody, and Margaret Fuller. UUs arrested for nonviolent civil disobedience at the West Roxbury Lateral Pipeline were hauled off to jail together. Levi Graham is just one of 21 young activists and plaintiffs suing the American federal government over climate injustice in Juliana versus the United States. When interviewed by our denominational magazine, the UU World, a few years ago, Levi said that when he was 7, he was 7 when his mother asked him if he wanted to join the case. I said, yeah. I found it really cool that there were other kids involved. Heroism takes commitment, and commitment requires clarity and community. And we need heroes for the earth now. Euro-American producer and environmentalist Barbara Pyle reflected on Captain Planet in The Guardian just over a year ago. Never in our wildest dreams did we think our over-the-top storylines would come true. In one episode, Planeteer Wheeler renounces his powers and visits a future where flooding and food shortages are the new normal. We said it in 2025, but it is already happening. Our goal was to arm a generation with the knowledge to find more sustainable ways of living on the planet. The millennials are living proof that it worked. These adult planeteers are growing into positions of power, bringing their knowledge to bear to make the changes we need. This work is critical because today it's as if the show's eco-villains have come to life. Opposing them are legions of inspired people worldwide marching to combat the climate crisis. However, we are almost at the point of no return. The fate of our species, and indeed all living things, is now truly in our hands. As our poet today challenged us, remember the earth whose skin we are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth, we are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them, they are alive poems. Remember the wind, remember her voice, she knows the origin of this universe. Remember, we are all people, and all people are us. Remember, we are this universe, and this universe is us. We must remember, we have a choice, individually and collectively. The earth will go on turning, regardless of what we do. But it's up to us and our eco-allies to ensure that the planet remains livable for future generations. As Captain Planet would always say, the power is yours. To become champions for the earth ourselves, we must recommit each year, even each month, each day, each hour, to transform our lives individually and societally to protect and sustain our singular shared planet Earth. Join me in this communal response from Euro-American UU Minister Reverend Dr. Kate Walker. I'll raise my hand to invite you to say from home, we pledge to transform our lives. For the earth, our ancient mother, blue-green planet of the galaxy, harbinger of lives beyond measure, we honor you with our humble presence. We bow with humility and gratitude. We pledge to transform our lives. For the plants that have sustained our bodies, wheat, corn, peas, tomatoes, peppers, nuts, and soybeans, we offer our thanks for the circle of life. We pledge to transform our lives. for the waters that give us daily life, from ocean depth to rocky cliffs, from Arctic ice to beaches and small streams, from lofty cloud to precious cup at our lips, we remember our dependence. We pledge to transform our lives. For the mountains rising to challenge our greatest aspirations, for the deserts transformed in a torrent of rain, for the forests thick with trunks marked by rings of wisdom, for roots interconnected web, for the new life within the heart of a seed, our souls respond in awe. We pledge to transform our lives. For the millions of species microscopic in the soles of our feet, to the pads, paws, and multi-toed, for the feathers and scales, for minuscule eyes open only under the moon's soft guidance, and for the lichen and the moss pushing onto the leaves and rocks, we honor your existence. We pledge to transform our lives. For all of us, descendants of the first primates, for those who sleep under the same blessed skies, for those who breathe the same oxygen feeding our heart, for those who need love as much as any other person, we remember we are not alone, called by love for the interconnected web of all existence. We pledge to transform our lives. May this be so. Blessed be, and amen. Please remember that you are welcome to join into our Zoom social hour just after this service has ended, and which today will include, oh, it's not going to include joys and concerns. I copied this from last week. Keep a careful eye out for emails and social media posts from First Parish so you can keep up with opportunities for connection for all ages throughout the week during these times of physical isolation. You can sign up for our weekly email by clicking on Subscribe to Newsletter on our website, uuneedham.org. We'll have further announcements during the Zoom social hour, but please remember that the memorial service for Dave Camp, father of our beloved Assistant Music Director Kate Loftus-Camp, will debut on YouTube at 3 p.m. today, and that we are having a special congregational meeting on Zoom just after social hour. Please remember, if you fall ill or are in need of any pastoral support, to reach out to me and Jenna Crawford and our amazing pastoral care and caring crew teams via phone or email. We also encourage all of you strongly to check in with your friends at First Parish and to double-check your own contact information in our online Realm directory if you have not done so recently. Please email our office administrator, Susanna Whitman, if you have any questions about using our online directory. We always extinguish our chalice with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are together again, no matter how long it is until we are together again. As we extinguish our chalice today, please join me from home in saying these words written by Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Elizabeth Sally Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home, was developed by popular Unitarian Universalist folk singer Peter Mayer as he was playing around with an old hymn melody, Heiferdal. His lyrics use the metaphor of a grand seafaring journey to describe our everyday lives with one another on the planet Earth. Please join in singing from home, Blue Boat Home.
Oh, below me I feel the motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land
Take this prayer, excerpted and adapted from one ancient Hindu holy text, the Atharva Veda, with you today as a benediction. Peaceful be the earth, peaceful be the ether, peaceful be heaven, peaceful the waters, peaceful the herbs, peaceful the trees. May all gods bring us peace. May there be peace through these invocations of peace. With these invocations of peace which appease everything, we render peaceful whatever here is terrible, whatever here is cruel, whatever here is sinful. Let it all become auspicious. Let everything be beneficial to us all. Our service begins when our service ends. Blessed be, and amen.